A very good morning to you all. Welcome wherever you are to Sunrise Daily. Today, I am Chamberlain.
Good morning. I'm Ogun Yusuf.
Hey, it's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Lagos. It's great to have you on the show. I'm Kayode Okikelu.
Well, the Hamatan is still here and it is what it is this season. I hope you're coping as I am trying to. Good morning and welcome. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
Well, maybe you should ask Mark where she is, because it's been about lately. And sometimes you wonder, is there any such thing as getting used to this kind of weather? I think I should ask so that perhaps I should just get the memo and know how to adjust moving forward. Who knows? You never can tell these days. Mark, where is that?
You get used to it, Chamberlain. You do get used to it. Just in case you lose your voice, as I did last week, I have a remedy. It's not mine. I don't have the patent for it. But, you know, if you're nice to me, just maybe I'll give it to you.
Let me use 2 words. New notes.
Not a bad idea.
Now you know what I'm talking about. Well, you know, I don't know if that there was this security official who was kidnapped and released, so we're hoping if it's in the dailies, we just highlight some of them, especially if you remember the president's most recent comments that Boko Haram is deployed to destroy Nigeria. I know there's been several perspectives and comments about this, but hopefully we'll see what the dailies highlight, because we do have a lot packed for you here today. So we'd just like you to sit back, relax, and let us guide you through what we've got for you today. And we will be back with the papers to start with in a moment. Welcome back. Let's start with Vanguard today. Well, they're following up on, I think we saw this coming when we did say that INEC did put certain things in perspective. So look at that. Polls, 93.47 million voters to participate. That is ascribed to INEC. Vows to go ahead with election, presents voters' registers to parties. North gets 50.162 million voters. South, 43.305 million voters. Northwest, Southwest, top zones. So, yeah, you could break it down in your own way, whichever way you want to, but the stats and the figures are all there for you. This, of course, follows all of those narratives about security implications, insecurity, elections not being a threat or being threatened. So does this put paid to all of those? Who knows? I'm trying to see.
What particular rider is that?
No. All of this breakdown as to the voters register INEC presented to political parties. And you know, there he did say elections will hold. So just trying to clarify their previous comments which came through there. Of course, you could see that that wasn't a policy statement from the commission, but of course, when an official of INEC makes that kind of statement, people will always hear it twice. So they need to know how to communicate, especially from now up until March, where the governorship election, the last batch of the general elections, will hold. So they should know that all eyes will be on them, all ears, as a matter of fact. We'll be listening to every little thing they say, and it will be magnified. So that is a big lead on the front page here. Well, politicians doing their thing. You see this above this lead story. Presidency, Tinubu, Atiku trade words over health, credibility, status. Worry about ex-VP's health, credibility, not me, Tinubu tells Nigerians. You're unfit to hold office as president. Atiku Okowa mocks APC candidate. So they will do their thing, but we expect you to keep your eye on the ball. What is it that you think will affect you in the next 4 years? Who offers you the best opportunity to have the best of your lives in the next 4 years? I think that should rank topmost. I don't know who you are, really.
Well, I wonder what Mrs. is telling Mr. this morning. But since Chamberlain doesn't want us to read it, no problem.
Well, it's Hamilton season, so I could guess.
It's okay. Well, let's take a look at what The Guardian is saying this morning. They have this: INEC assures poll must hold. Yes, I'm the one emphasizing that one. But when you see must anywhere, it means it shall hold. I'm trying to find what's another synonym. Compulsorily hold. It will compulsorily hold.
Oh,
well, it must hold. Says 93.4 million eligible to vote. Delete underage voters. Lagos, Kano maintain lead. Southeast, lowest. Commission begins airlift of sensitive materials to states. IPAC vows to resist anti-democratic forces. So you find details on page 6 of the paper. When you see this, Commission begins airlift of sensitive materials to state. I wonder now if they have been able to sort out where they're going to keep them. I mean, keep the sensitive materials, because prior to this time, the CBN, the headquarters in each state, or the CBN office in each state, used to be the place for safekeeping of these materials. But, you know, subsequently, after the CBN governor got involved in the rumored, I don't want to say in a presidential primary, and there was a rumored presidential primary, because he said if I was going to run, he would have run. But from then on, you know, people started to raise objections as to whether or not the CBN will be a good place. I do not know if they've been able to sort that out, because people are saying that you should also be able to separate the CBN as an institution from the individual.
Well...
But hey, and that's INEC's headache. It's all our headache.
Yeah, but will it matter if the CBN governor hasn't recovered, if he's still ill or recuperating or something, if he's out of the country?
We should ask that. We should put that to INEC. The CBN governor, we understood, could not come for that hearing. It's possible that he's back.
Elections in February, in March.
It's possible that he's back.
Oh.
It's a possibility. Don't forget that permission or that excuse was given when you know, the House of Reps summoned the CBN and wanted a brief on this new Naira notes, etc. And it's possible that, you know,
rumor the rest.
Oh yes, there was also that as well. We don't know. You know, this country, sometimes the more you look, the less you see. But these are some of the concerns. Just wondering where they'll host the sensitive materials which they're sending to state. I think INEC might be able to give a satisfactory answer in that regard. But look at the bottom here. Insecurity. Police direct operatives to intensify stop search operation in FCT. It's very important. Safety system failure in US ground over 5,000 flights. So sometimes you also get these headaches in the advanced economies as well. On top of the nameplate, they have a number of stories for you. Some, how do I put it now? Some political, some around security. But there was a clarification yesterday, which is important that we also emphasize here. Edo train attack, 20 kidnapped, not 32, says Commissioner. So, yeah, there's been a review of the figure by the Edo State governor, in fact, government rather. It was the Commissioner for Information that released this particular piece of news yesterday. It says the figure is not as high as 32.
Yeah, but they are the well. Anyway.
No, sometimes
information.
Yeah, and then you also have a number of other articles at the back of the paper. That's how I leave it for the Guardian newspapers.
And let's turn to the Daily Trust newspapers, and he has quite a number of stories for you this morning that will interest you. But let's start with the lead story. This one, of course, borders on the elections. Everyone is concerned about elections. Elections will hold as scheduled, Buhari assures. Take a look at the riders. No postponement, that's ascribed to INEC. that can be clarified enough following the confusion of some days back. Youth's top registered voters. Commission begins airlift of sensitive materials. That's it for the big story. Now let's go above the nameplate to see these ones. Don't sell your votes, General Abdul Salami charges the electorate. And this one also rather sad. Kebi abduction, parents selling properties to pay 100 million naira ransom. Just before the review, Akadi and I were talking about the kernel that was released and we're wondering what the terms were. So there you have it. And this one also, just after that, Zazzau Emirates dismisses palace aid over gang rape. Gender-based violence is still an issue. We hope that an example will be made of that one. And just before we exit Daily Trust newspaper, just at the bottom strip, you see this one. Policy uncertainty, inflation to slow Nigeria's economic growth. That's ascribed to the World Bank. Let's leave it there for the Daily Trust newspaper.
Well, let's turn our attention to New Telegraph next, and this is what you find on the front page. By the way, that colonel gave some insight. Some he couldn't speak to, but I mean, ransom indeed was part of the terms and conditions. But New Telegraph has this one: Boko Haram fraudulent ploy to destroy Nigeria. Buhari. So that's another statement from the president regarding security situation. There are still questions about those local governments. The Borno State Speaker, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, was talking about, saying that they're still under Boko Haram control, ISWAP, whatever you want to call it. So still questions about that. That's still hanging. A couple of writers says people need to learn, grow intellectually, vows to improve security, reposition economy before leaving office. Insists multi-party democracy better than military rule. That's quite interesting coming from him. FG not incapable of tackling insecurity. That's coming from Catholic bishops. Call for peaceful, credible polls. So that's like a snapshot of some of the major pronouncements from yesterday. But you know, this one about people needing to learn and grow intellectually. So that will be perhaps a solution to radicalism and all of that. Something to explore, definitely. And just this one, which you should have heard time and again, 2023 polls will hold as scheduled, INEC affirms. You know, when Chebele said people will hear twice. So it's important then to counter that with a reinforcement of that assurance that, well, the polls should hold as scheduled. Just one more for you. Maybe this one should brighten your day, depends on how you see it. Oil prices rise over optimism for global economic growth, but there's still that major challenge of our output in Nigeria. Food for thought, or oil for what thought? That's New Telegraph. Back to you guys.
Okay, take a look at this Nigeria next, also about the polls. 2023 polls sacrosanct, says Yakubu INEC chair. Commission announces 3,469,000,000 eligible voters to participate in general elections. And just reading this, you're just thinking, wow, what if you have maybe like 80 million of these people come out and vote?
Wow.
What if it's about more than 80 million?
That will be the day.
Yeah, I mean,
80 million voters. It'll be wonderful, Chamberlain. It will be unprecedented. People will come and ask, what did Nigeria do? We'll be studied. We'll be a case study.
Yeah,
if 80 points, it's going to make headlines around the world.
But the thing is, I mean, I know that if you look at the stats and the previous figures in terms of voter turnout, they may just be cautiously optimistic about even the young people in terms of their participation with these elections, because yeah, they've always been there and they register with the population, but do they usually make it count? Then at the end of the day,
they're beginning to, Chamberlain. They're beginning to.
Well, I could see them prove a lot of people
from
wrong
2011, at least from when I started to really take, maybe not when I started, but I did that a long while back. But when you started to really take note of the statistics, 2011 young people were involved. 2015, I mean, significant polls, especially when it's the end of a president, when a president is approaching the end of his tenure, there is usually a greater interest in the elections by young people. That still needs to be confirmed by research, but that's what, I mean, on the surface, one can immediately see. 2011, 2015, we saw that. And now, 2023, we're also seeing that rush again. You know, if you look at the vibes we're getting, it's given the 2015 kind of vibe. So let us see what eventually
and you know, maybe
at the end of the day.
Maybe we should all also have at the back of our minds, whatever we do, whether we decide to come out and vote or not, if you don't vote, you have actually voted.
Indeed.
So think about that. Maybe that might give you, different
but you know,
ways of
I
doing
think
things.
that also falls on, you know, INEC making sure that people, because some people have started to complain about, you know, the ease with which you're able to get their voters cards. There needs to be awareness on how people can get their voters card, because some people do not even know the first thing to do on how to obtain. After you've registered, is one kettle of fish. Don't forget that some people registered at these mass centers where they simply went to maybe a stadium somewhere, or what they call that now, a field or somewhere, because, you know, there was also a drive to get people to register. So INEC, you know, collaborated with a number of non-governmental agencies to make sure that people registered en masse. Now, collecting the PVCs, people are a little unsure as to where to pick them up. So there needs to be some awareness about what people need to have in their hands, what they need to know before they go to the centers, even where the centers are. I know that they're talking about wards and polling units and, you know, so distributing to that level, but some people are still unaware. So I think that there needs to be some awareness, even if it's text messages sent to people's phones, for you to collect your PVC. This is what you need to do. This is what you need to have. There needs to be jingles on the radio stations. You know, we will do our best here as journalists, but there needs to be that awareness so that the push and pull will make sure that, you know, on every front, people have absolutely no excuse not to have been able to collect their PVC.
But in addition to all of that, as good as they are, one thing that I think will affect the PVC collection rate by as much as 50%, at least, is, number one, I mean, they say, look, if you want to make anyone do anything, make it easy for them to do it. If you have 3 centers where they have to go and pick up their PVCs, it will be difficult to track. Because, look, people are, we always say in this part, everybody's always in a hurry, but we never get there. First, they start distributing from where, then they move to wards. Then after the wards, after a period of time, they move to INEC offices in the local government areas. So all those messages, keeping track of all of those things, so a lot of people who are up and about doing different things, it's a challenge. So try that.
They need to,
and thank me later.
Need to prioritize that. They need to prioritize, you know, collecting their PVCs.
Yeah.
And don't forget that as I'm saying this, I'm also talking to myself. So.
Well, look at this at the bottom strip of this paper, this Nigeria. You can't continue to run CBN from overseas. Pressure mounts on Emefiele to resign. Wow.
Oh dear.
So there you go. Will he? Will he not?
Chamberlain was just asking.
Time,
Is he back? So
time
I
will
think
tell.
that answers that he's not back. So.
Whoa.
Oh, I don't know, really. News Direct is where you find this one. Insecurity. 2023 general election will hold as shadowed. INEC defies fear. Says no adjustment to timetable, postponement of polls. We have been assured by security forces. That's coming from the INEC chairman himself, Yakubu, as autumn appeals for extension in collection of PVCs. I've not even finished the time yet. Where do you believe for extension? So you say that there needs to be that drive, much as there was, you know, there was an extension for registration, you know, and especially when people started to see a surge in the, registration centers. So, you know, right now there needs to also be that awareness, and we need to see the same surge. And there needs to be an eye on the collection centers, because some people have started talking about bribing officials, you know, untoward behavior by some parties, you know, sending their agents to pull into the ward to go and either disrupt, or I don't know what they're doing there, to be honest. But we're beginning to get some of these reports are coming in snippets, but I hope that, there will be single event, isolated events, but INEC should not just, gloss over those kinds of things. You also see here, I've experienced both military, civilian rule, multi-party democracy is the best. That's according to President Buhari. So for those who are still thinking that military rule or the military forgot something in Aso Rock, they didn't forget anything there. You've heard from those who have even, implemented both. They say multi-party democracy is the best. Nigerians have no business seeking greener pastures overseas. That's according to the APC candidate, Tinubu. Strong regulatory system necessary for quality medicines, vaccines in low-income country. You have the reinstated DG of NAFDAC speaking there. A number of other stories on top of the nameplate, which I'll let you do yourself. But those are the lead stories on the front page of the Nigerian News Direct.
And now let's flip to the Nigerian Tribune this morning. It also leads with the elections, and this is how it is captioned. INEC, elections will hold. Lagos tops list of 93.4 million registered voters. That will gladden the hearts of politicians. Speaking of which, we have one with us. We'll be introducing to you shortly. Let's take a look at the riders. Presents voter register of 93 plus million to political parties. Male 49 million plus, female 44 million. That's the male taking the lead this time with 52.5% of the number in the registered voters, and the female taking 47.5%. So the men will be, the one wielding the power of the block votes.
Depends on who
this
comes
time
out to
around.
vote, really.
Yeah. So the advocacy will not be taking, well, from now, it should be taking to the doorstep of the men,
Ouch.
so that they can wield that power in the elections, unlike in the past.
There you go, man.
It was done.
The challenge is out now.
Well, it's out. The youths, they had 39.65%, of the volume of voters, and they're aged between 18 and 34. And the last of the riders is this: with BVAS, era of identity theft during elections over, Commission insists. Interesting one. And of course, yes to inadequate campaigns on how to get your PVC. Well, considering the quantum of funds available to the Commission, the campaign should be all over the media, print media, electronic media, social media, on how you can collect your PVC. The last we heard was that they've been moved to the wards, so you have to identify your ward and go get your PVC at the wards. And I think from January the 22nd, the PVCs are moved back to the local government.
The 15th, actually.
15th of January.
That's 3 days to go.
3 days to go for onward collection. So go get your PVC so that you can wield your power and decide who your president and, of course, other leaders will be in the 2023 elections. Let's go above the nameplate now to see this one. Concerns mount over collapsing infrastructure at Tinkan Port. That should be drawn to the attention of the port's authority. Then this one also, it dominated headlines yesterday. Quite interesting to watch also. Buhari meets Catholic bishops, allays fear on Nigeria's indebtedness. This is one of what was said. Our creditors have full confidence in our ability to repay. He says, just amongst other things that Mr. President said, also about security and commitment to the elections. It was interesting to watch Mr. President and Bishop Kuka yesterday, who he said or acknowledged to be one of his most vocal critics. Just camaraderie between, what one would have termed a friend and a foe. A good side of Mr. President yesterday, must say. And lastly, Supreme Court dismisses Jimmy Lawal's interlocutory appeal on Ogun PDP governorship ticket. When you thought that would have been decided, there are more dimensions emerging to that contest in Ogun State. Let's leave it there for the Nigerian Tribune.
Well, yes, indeed, Buki. That also ends a look at some of the dailies here today. We will be back in just a moment. Stay with us.
With this squad app, I think my customers will understand that it's my own POS. No wuru wuru, no wago wago.
Well, let's get right into it, okay? It's a packed show for you this morning. As you've seen, we're joined right here in our Lagos studio by the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party here in Lagos State, Nigeria's commercial capital, Mr. Abdulaziz Adediroy. He's also the founder of Core TV. Good morning. Thank you for joining us on the program. Quite an interesting campaign process. In fact, an election generally, it's been projected that this would be the most intriguing, the most interesting election in Nigeria's history yet. And you were in Ikorodu recently, the home of your...
I'm still there.
Of your, I mean, in terms of the meetings you've had, and that's the home of your deputy governorship candidate. And you said some things. You asked them to vote for merit. We'll come to that. But I'd like to start on this note, because you particularly told the people that in the past, politicians have come to lie to them and they didn't fulfill promises. And you, in essence, were saying you will be different. So you said you asked them about their problems and then said you will come back to fix it. So let's start, maybe to extrapolate for the whole of Lagos, particularly for the people of Ikorodu, because you say you're different. What were those issues they had, major, and the ones you feel that you will indeed be able to keep to that promise of coming back to fix, particularly how you'll do that?
Okay, first, let's speak about our own campaign strategy. So every other politician is going out there to campaign and say, vote for me, I'm going to do this. But in our own case, we're going to the people and seeking partnership. We're seeking partnership because, you know, over the years they've been there, no government presence, nothing. That is why we decided to do a word-to-word tour, okay? So the usual style of the other side is when they go to Ikorodu like that, they go to the town hall and address party members, dance to Wasiu music, and return back to base. But in our own case, we have 19 wards in Ikorodu, and I've been in Ikorodu since Tuesday. Today is Thursday. I'm returning there now. Touring all the entire 19 wards, going to the inner of Ikorodu, you understand? Speaking to the people, stakeholders, asking them, what is that thing? And again, beyond going there to seek for vote or partnership, as I call it, it's also give us a first-hand information about the state of our state as a whole. And I can tell you, Kaudi, what we've been seeing, there are stories that are not sweet to the ears. I mean, in terms of infrastructure and everything. So Ikorodu, for instance, just like every other local government, have got terrible inner roads. The only part of Ikorodu that you see that is really working is the main Ikorodu road. When you go to, like, the place we visited, like Adamo, Maya, Elepe, you know, Imota, yesterday we were there, you see how people live in the state that generates over 50 billion naira in a month. So for us, we're coming back to ensure that that wealth that everybody speaks about, we make it work for the state of Lagos. And let me say this to you. The state government, I mean, since we started this world tour, I mean, we started with Alimosho, and we showcased the state of Alimosho, the so-called, you know, Tinubu's country, let me put it that way. And it was terrible in terms of road network. When we went there and we exposed everything that was there, so the government had to return there quickly and start fixing some roads. But the resident came out to say, we knew you were doing this because this guy came. Before now, You said to us that you can't do this road, there is pipeline or something, but suddenly you're fixing the road.
So how are you able to, because particularly for those issues that the people have, in terms of the promises you made to come back to fix them, in what time frame are you able to fix? You mentioned some particular roads in Ikorodu, and I imagine you're hoping to touch on all of the inner roads, not just in Ikorodu, Alimosho and other areas. What time frame did you give the people?
In our very first year in office, we will do a whole lot across Lagos. One, we need to decentralize development. Everybody comes here to the center in search of greener pasture. But if you give them development where they are, they'll actually stay there. And we've seen that a lot of clustering at the center, and we really need to decentralize. So that's why we went round. So we will do a whole lot. You know why? Because we'll be coming in as independent government, the one that is not tied to a apron string of anybody. And that would allow us to make Lagos wealth that we only hear now work for Lagos.
A whole lot is quite vague, really, because you have said it that you are different. Yes. So what does a whole lot mean? I mean, operationalize it, be practical about it, so at least people can particularly hold you to
That's
your
what
words.
I'm saying. I've told you why we're going around is to see, to know the state of our states. And with what we have seen, when we come into office, you see, Lagos State government has over 1 trillion budget. I mean, for the past 3 years now, they've been doing between 800 something and 1, and they've been reporting over 80% performance in terms of revenue and expenditure. And we can't even see that. So what we are saying is that we are coming in to ensure that you see that wealth in all sectors of our daily living. And that's what governance is all about. So it's just being able to deploy people's resources, you know, for them to feel it and see it. So what we have as we speak are just cosmetics, and people see and all of this. When you go to, you ask yourself when you get to somewhere and ask, is this Lagos? And things like that. So this is not, that is why when we go, you see all of this. Somebody was saying, oh, the government can't do what we're doing because, of course, there will be need for them to show the road they are passing through. And that won't all go away. So for us, we are coming in to look at, like, for instance, we're declaring a state of emergency in our education sector where we currently have over 2 million out-of-school children. And we don't need to come in one day and build infrastructure to take some of this off the school. With the policy of ours that we've been speaking to, first thing to do was to see how we can engage all private school owners, how we can make use of churches and mosques, and, you know, take off our children off the school. What will I do with private school owners? I'll tell them, I call it meeting. We have over 5,000 of them registered, even though we have almost 18,000, you know, of private schools in Lagos. And I'll say, look, I have a situation in my hand. I have a lot of my children out of school, and I need them to, I need to take them off the street. So I will see how many of them I can spread across those private schools. I'll give them uniform, I give them all the learning aids, I give them whatever they want. You know, in exchange for tax incentives, or holiday as the case may be, with those private schools, pending while I then embark on aggressive infrastructure renewal on our primary and secondary school. You understand? As we speak in the state of Lagos, in about how many years ago now, President Buhari signed into law the law extending the year of service of teachers from 60 to 65 years. I mean age, or retirement age, and 35 to 40 years for year of service. Lagos State government hasn't implemented that. So how will come not only implement that, I will record those that were retired within that frame, so that we'll have more people back into the system.
Quickly, because on that point you made,
yes.
Pardon me, so you said you would engage private schools. You said 5,000 of them, so
yes.
That's like 200 children from that figure.
No, we don't necessarily
I'm just saying an average.
No, we don't necessarily take the entire 2 million.
School.
No.
Oh, okay. You don't plan to take all of them out of school?
We don't necessarily take the entire 2 million off the streets in 1 year, in one...
No, whatever the case is, it's going to be an average of 200.
18,000 private schools.
Right.
Only 5,000 are registered.
Okay.
So. But the first registered one that are there, we will see how much we can do. The 13,000 will quickly look at what do we need to do in registering them.
But Mr. Didiron,
aside that, we can as well, excuse me, Woki, aside that, we can as well look at even with the current state and see how we can take these children off the streets. I also mentioned use of churches and mosques. That space to say, look, let us see how we can engage them during the school hours, pending when we embark on this infrastructure renewal. Yes, please.
Well, structure and assigning school uniforms is not all there is, to standardizing, operations in the education sector. But, that aside, I've heard you talk a lot about your Lagos for Lagos campaign, which you have been at for quite some time now. Is your position that Lagos is currently not working for everyone? Is this subject to empirical study? Besides your reference to the education sector, for instance, what are your findings in other sectors?
Absolutely. I just said to you that on a world tour for our campaign strategy, you live in Lagos, and you will see that from the entire 9,326 kilometers of roads that we have in Lagos, the ones that are really working is the 510 kilometers that belongs to the federal government. The entire 5,800 plus of local government is not working. About 80% of them are not working. So now, this is Lagos not working for us. And we hear of that huge revenue in terms of high GRR if you even put capital receipts and federal allocation into it. This is not how we should be living. I was at a TV station sometimes this week, and I spoke about River State not having as much as Lagos. And you see the governor commissioning project like every other day.
But the governor in Rivers has clarified that he has had access to derivation funds, for which he publicly thanked the federal government.
Okay, thank you. Put that together. These figures are out there. No. Whether it has anything compared to what Lagos is raking in, it's nothing. It's out there that Lagos topped that rank of both IGR and anything in Lagos. It's undoubtedly. Okay, so but I'm saying that with that little that he's got, we can see what he's doing in his own state. And what we're speaking to is that we can as well do that. But we know the problem. The problem is this monopoly that we need to break. If you have a governor that is independent, we won't have this problem. And that is what we represent. It's our choice to come this route. I could have also been governor the same way they are governor, but I chose this route because I want to be a governor that will speak to people and do the same without anybody asking me, how would you have been?
Sorry, Kari, it would seem like, it's a campaign in the reverse. If you look at, the human development indexes, that we've had in the last couple of years, you find that, for instance, the multidimensional poverty index released, Lagos is not top on the list. In fact, it's, at the reverse. If you look at unemployment, Lagos, unlike other states, does not have a double-digit, figure of unemployment. Is at 9% as at, 2021. If you look at,
You're not speaking to latest reports, Auntie.
My 2021,
Auntie,
the figures are available online.
You're not speaking
If you look at migration,
2021 is not the latest report.
Many other, many citizens of other states are moving to Lagos, because it is the belief that you can at least get, your daily bread in Lagos. Okay, so it seems like your campaign is in the reverse.
Okay, let me educate you, in case you don't know. Poverty rates, when this guy came into office in 2019, was 4.5%. Today is 8.5%. Unemployment rate, when he came into office, was 14.6%. Today is 37.16%. That is not my data, that is MBS. Okay, you can check. Latest reports. Now, we had another report that in the year 2022, Lagos, with all the revenue, is now ranked among the top 5 states, with fiscal performance. I don't know if you understand, with all the money. Another report speaks about the safest states in Nigeria. Lagos is not among the first 10, I think it is number 1. So, what is this speaking to? I don't know if you have a government with huge resources and you still have all of these statistics not speaking to the resources. So it shows failure. And the reason is not far-fetched. I mean, it's because there is a monopoly that we need to break and open up the space to allow fresh ideas and new thinking. Until that is done, we continue to have the same report and this cosmetics of people saying they are working with nothing. Okay, let's go to what they've been celebrating. It's that bad that the government of Lagos celebrates. We just bought the Pangolo for the rail, is here. The core channels to do live TV. Erecting the final beam, they call channels to do live transmission.
Don't you think you're denigrating by calling it Pangolo? We all know what Pangolo means. Mr. Adediro, we understand politics, but you know what Pangolo means, right?
13 years.
No, Mr. Adediro.
No, I'm not saying channels is Pangolo.
No.
What's Pangolo?
So what is Pangolo really?
Oh, you don't know what Pangolo is?
No, tell us what Pangolo is. And if it's carcass.
Carcass of what?
So is it carcass that the Lagos State government... No, you need to be clear on the facts.
You understand what I'm saying?
I don't. Okay. You need to be clear on the facts.
This is how low, you know, and they've taken us for a ride, going all about, celebrating what is not, a project that you've been on for 13 good years, and is not even completed. You're still, you know, calling everybody, it is bad. So we will come in and do things differently. That's why I say that the problem of Lagos is we have one head thinking for the state of Lagos for the past 24 years.
All right. When we started, we talked about your pronouncements, your campaign trail, the things you said, but also you said people should vote for candidates based on merit. And the question naturally will arise, has arisen in times past, about your track record, as it is said now, in politics, either in private or the public sector. What successes have you recorded, particularly in, I imagine, more in the private sector now, that you hope to replicate in Lagos? The successes you've recorded and sustained up until this point that you want Lagosians to see and say, I've done this here, I'm still doing this, and I can do it in Lagos.
Okay, so let me tell you, like I said, I cut my teeth in the establishment of Government of Lagos. That's Lagos Broadcasting Corporation. So in 2007, I left certainty for uncertainty to set up my own business built from the scratch, which is a media agency. Okay, and I started this. And at a point when that business was practically serving, because I was consulting for the Office of Governor of Lagos State and Government of Lagos at that time. So towards 2013-14, I asked myself, because majorly this is basically what I was doing. So with this business going to extinction, with the expiration of the tenure of that governor, that was a question I asked myself. I was like, no, there's time for me to now break a new ground. So I left Lagos in 2013 to go to Abuja, you know, to break that new ground. So I applied for TV license. I mean, a friend of mine who was working here said to me that, look, I can't give you this now. It is only, you know, the president that gave approval for that. But I said, well, I'm going to apply. I did apply. Unfortunately, I was able to get that. And I floated what we call Core TV News in 2014. So from scratch. And everybody that worked with me at that time, they were all green on. You know how it is in the media industry when a new channel coming up, everybody will move from one place and go to another place. I didn't allow that to happen. I took on Greenhorn. You know, we went into rigorous training. I built the majority of them are now in TVC. Some of them are here and everywhere, even working, and some are still with me. So that's something that I've done. That's one contribution I've made in this economy. And we have a terrestrial national license across Nigeria. So I've done that successfully. And coming into politics, I didn't just join like every other person who will come in and say they are contesting. No. I started this 7 years ago because we wanted to disrupt a narrative. And we know it's not something we're going to do that time everybody will jump into it. We took our time. So that's 2016. Right. So 2016, we built a structure across the local. In fact, we committed that unpardonable sin that you must not commit in APC.
While you were in the APC?
While in the APC, because you mustn't have your own structure. So we damned all the constituency and built structure across the 377 wards using the new local government template. And we maintained that structure until we imploded APC and left for PDP January 21, 2022. Today, we're on the ballot. Not just on the ballot to end this dynasty.
So would you consider then that your endeavor in the private sector as a success you have sustained up until this point?
Absolutely. I diversed into other businesses, okay? Because, I mean, if in this country, if you really need to survive, there are other things that you need to do. So I diversed into other businesses, you know, within the space. And today, I am where I am today.
So really, you would want to manage Lagos the same way you managed your business?
Absolutely, because if you have never had cause, you know, to employ people before, to source for fund, know how to turn it around, still make profits, you know, pay taxes, sustain the business, it will be difficult for you to run a state. And that's the problem that we have currently.
Right.
The occupant of this office never had cause to do that. He has always been, I'm sorry, a salary earner till somebody say come and be. So it's difficult. That's why you can say that you met a poverty, an unemployment rate of 14.6% when you came into office. You pumped 10 billion naira into it, according to you. And they still you still have 37.16%. So something is wrong somewhere.
Welfare is going to be a major part of your, it's a major yardstick to measure, really, any administration, because the Constitution says is that the welfare and security of citizens will be the major responsibility of government. And I chanced upon a recent interview you had where there was a caller that called in and was saying that one of your previous workers says that you hadn't paid him for what is it, 8 months now? And I was expected to get your response to that, but all you said was that why bring it up now? And you never you never really, let me learn. You never really spoke to whether or not you actually paid that salary in that interview. So this is a platform for you to speak to that.
No. This is politics.
What does it know about, by the way?
They know it. There is nothing like that, and that's why I said
the interview.
I had the interview.
Okay,
there's nothing.
Or like the person saying that you're owing
yes, there's nothing like me owing anybody.
Okay.
And if you look at it, and that's why I said, why do you have to come out when you said in 2014 or 2015 you worked with me, and it's 2023, you are now saying somebody was owing you? And we went on the profile of this person to check who is this person, and they now realized, oh, he had some Photoshop with some Odu and all of that on his Facebook.
Was the person an employer of the organization?
My dear, the person in question should come out and say, I was in your destiny.
No, you said you have done some research. So did you see that the person
No.
So you didn't employ the person?
No.
The person was not in your employment
Let him come up to say, this is it. And the question is, because we're playing policies, why? Okay, if you're owing me, Kaode, for whatever it is, and you said you were, according to that person, for some number of months, and you were still coming to work, and how come you are the only one in that establishment? I don't know if you understand. Look, I have people who have worked with me here in these premises. I have in TVC where I was. I have everywhere.
And you've never owed salaries?
My brother, in this economy, when I started my business, I started from scratch, from nothing. When it's time for me, when I see that things were not going the way it should go, we downsize so that we don't find ourselves in this. This is politics.
So yes or no, you have never owed salaries? No. Because this will be a major issue.
I said the answer is no, Kayode.
You've never owed salaries?
The answer is no.
I mean, you can always expect what a man will do
can that
based on
person
what he
just
has
do
done.
the needful?
No, it's
and
okay.
let it come out and tell me.
Okay.
So why is he just tweeting? Put up evidence there.
And you have said that you never employed the person. The person never worked with you.
I didn't even answer that person because it's inconsequential.
So the person never worked with you, you never employed. So you hope this is put to rest.
We put it to rest since.
Okay, and people can trust your word on this.
Of course, let's put it to rest.
Okay, so let's talk about your chances politically, because people look at the numbers. I remember the brief chats we had before we came on, and I'm like, I mean, this is really what politicians do. They look at the numbers and they permutate. And for Lagos, we've seen Lagos time and again swing in the way of the APC. Well, before it was APC, always swung to that as well. And there will be questions about how you plan to pull that upset, data-wise, realistically speaking, because they say politicians are eternal optimists. They'll tell you they can win even election in Mars, literally, because that's what they do. So looking at the figures, really, the performance of your party, especially the data we can hold in recent times, the recent polls put your parties, the PDP, your candidates particularly, at third with other candidates, and particularly when you zoom into the Southwest, because this is about Lagos. Lagos has a huge chunk of a voting population in Southwest. We see that even in the Southwest, your candidate...
This is a national poll?
Yes, talking about, but this is Southwest now for that poll. Okay. Your candidate is still third. Lagos has what? Over 7 million voters out of the, 16-point-something million voters in the Southwest. So whatever happens in Lagos affects us. So if your candidate is third in the Southwest, where Lagos plays a huge role, how do you plan to be first?
Okay, let me tell you something. If you go back, I was coming from APC, don't forget. And I have said over and over again, if you have data of previous elections in Lagos, you see that PDP has always been doing between 40, 35, 40, 45%.
But they've never won.
I just told you they've always been doing that, when they were what they were.
That's 2 elections ago. The previous one was not as much as that.
No, of course. Previous one was...
I'm sorry, talking about 2019, which is more recent data.
Yes. So I'm speaking to the frequent ones, 2015, 20, you understand what I'm saying? So,
but not 2019, which is more recent.
I just put 2019 out there. We knew what happened in 2019. I was there.
Why are you choosing?
No, I was
picking and choosing data?
Have you seen the results of 2019 election, presidential election?
Yes.
It was like this, very close.
It wasn't like that. The distance between that is...
presidential.
So the APC had 580, and the PDP had 448. That's 130,000.
Can you compare it to the 700 to 200?
No, that's still data.
No, that's still data.
Is
Same election.
Is it the same for governorship election results?
No. I'm speaking to something. I'm driving somewhere. The same election, okay, 2 weeks interval. One has a 100 deficit of 100,000.
130,000.
Exactly. The other one has over 500,000. So don't worry. We politicians know what happened there, but we won't discuss
tell us what happened.
No, don't worry. You don't need to know. We won't discuss it.
Then really now, we can say nothing happened.
Let's now go back to what I was speaking to.
All
so
right.
they've always been doing that.
Doing what exactly?
35 to 40%. Okay.
But not 2019.
I said
so you can't say
2019
always...
is an exceptional
You
case.
have to put it together, Mr.
Okay, just let me tell you where I'm driving at.
All right.
So that is before now. But when we left APC for PDP, what they need to cross that threshold was what we have brought into PDP.
Which is how many?
From APC.
How many?
Even the day I declared alone, we had 41,000 people declared with us. I don't know if you understand. Party members. And these are the canvassers that will go and do the work and bring in more people out. Organically, of course. Organically.
Brought together.
We don't have money to buy crowd like them. Organically. This, don't forget, it was a struggle of 7 years ago before that movement. So there are lots of...
You've been growing that organically.
Yes.
But 50,000 out of over 500,000, you still have over 450,000.
That 50,000 I speak to, that is more than 200,000 votes because one person of that 50,000 will convince 5 people because they're party people.
I mean, not conceding to that because, I mean, it's your own data.
Educating you.
You still have over 350,000.
Hold on, I'm educating you.
No, it's okay.
Those
and
are
I said,
party members.
And I said if it's your data.
Your regular voters.
No problem.
Those
if
are
it's your
people
data. So you have over
structures.
350,000 to go.
No. See, listen. I'm going somewhere. That is one. Then the second one is that you see 2023 election is an election like never before. So APC in the state of Lagos, you know why they are jittery now? Because it is an election that you can't just sit somewhere and write results. I don't know if you understand. Before now, PDP wins at the polling units, but by getting to collation center, things will change. But with this,
and you
it can't happen anymore.
Because you were in the APC.
You understand?
It
can't happen anymore.
So
you didn't answer my question. Were you a part of that because you were in the APC?
Let me tell you something. One of the things I was busy doing while in that corridor was to understudy, the whole thing.
How do you mean in that corridor? You were a member of the APC?
Yes. I said, while I was even consulting in that place, I was busy understudying the whole thing. And that is why I can do what I'm doing today. That's why if they hear Jandor, they will run because I know everything.
Okay, so speak to what you have up your sleeves that you will
I won't tell you my strategy. I won't tell you my strategy on national television. No. You want me to tell you I'm going to win them? No, we are going to win them. I won't tell you my strategy, but I'm sure they have seen one. One is the fact that when they decided to take the space off us and say they are going to brand the entire Lagos without allowing us to use billboard, to use posters. In fact, they flush our posters when we put it out there. We decided to take ourselves to the people by visiting the wards. When I go to visit any wards, I speak to people that are voting, traditionalists, Muslim community, CDAs, and the likes. You understand? My deputy will go into the market and speak to our mothers in the market. That is something that you can't do.
So if you have the trick, why did you need a popular face to be your running mate, in this election?
I didn't choose
Is it just to get,
I didn't choose
numbers?
Funke because she's a popular face. I chose her because she's qualified to be, even if she wants to be governor of the state. What is wrong with her? This is somebody who has invested so much in this economy. This is somebody who has been an employer of labor in this economy. The two that are occupying this office as we speak never had cause to employ 2 people in their life before somebody gave them that office. This is us that have been, in our little age, We've been part of this economy. Our success story here is how there. You know, so what is it? What is governance? If governance is about, you know, managing people's resources, identifying best hand, and see to the well-being of the people of Lagos. So what if you've been doing that over the years, and this one you are using people's resources? So if we have had cost to go and source for fund with these exorbitant rates in the market, and we're still able to turn it around, it shows that if you have this opportunity, we will do better than the people that are here. And more so, both of us had conviction within ourselves. We have that belief in ourselves to say we want one. Nobody railroaded us into this. No, we're not railroaded into this.
Well, a couple of issues to raise, really. It's always very interesting having this conversation, but still not convinced, really. I mean, in terms of empirical data, empirical evidence as to what you plan, except you're now saying that what you said happened in the APC when you were there is what you're trying to replicate now in this coming elections, because you have said that you know the things that used to happen.
It won't happen. It can't happen with this election, because this is a different election. This election of the votes you can't win at the polling unit, can't be won anywhere again.
Something interesting I want to show you, pardon me, something interesting I want to show you. So for Lagos particularly, which is our own base right now in this conversation, you would see that in that poll for the Southwest, yes, the APC is leading with, what, 22%? I'm sure you've seen by who? It's ANAP NOI polls. So 22% the APC. Labour Party is second, and your party is still third. So judging by the quantum of votes that Lagos has.
That's the party that is winning.
That's the party that is winning. Labour Party or APC?
The one you said is third.
Interesting. I mean, politicians, eternal optimists. But let's speak to the data we have now. So Labour Party even is still second in the Southwest, where Lagos has a huge voting population. You still remain third. So it is naturally believed that with that huge voting population, people would rather vote for Labour Party here in Lagos than vote for you. I know you're... I mean, I imagine you're still friends with the Labour Party governorship candidate and PDP, judging from that poll.
Okay.
I know you're friends with him and all of that, but how do you slope to upturn that? Because Labour Party seems to have even an upper hand than yourself.
Okay, should I speak to you about this polling thing, right? This is not the first time you're going to get a poll that will speak, you know, to a particular candidate to I-Evans.
But this particular one has proven to be right in previous times.
My dear brother,
the NOI polls.
See, let me tell you something. Politics, this trade, is beyond somebody sitting somewhere and you say you are gathering data. I don't know if you understand. Let me give you an example. I am from Lagos West. Okay? The largest local government. Because the ruling party have seen that we have already zipped up Lagos West, you know what they did? They went to call all our royal fathers, asked them to go and call all the, you know, the chiefs or the baales in the hamlet to tell them to start campaigning for APC. I don't know if you understand. And if you then go to do a poll, and when they see you as government person, they'll say, hey, this is what we are doing. Yeah, okay, we are doing this.
It's not a government poll, but we need to go to Abuja. Malkwe has a question. You still answer that Labour Party angle. But Malkwe needs to ask you a question.
I don't know what you're asking about Labour Party.
And
we don't have Labour Party.
It's over to you now.
Well, maybe he can rope in, the answer to the question. Mr. Jandor, it's good to see you. I'm just wondering, at what point did you decide? Because when I listening to the answers, some of the answers that you have given so far, you talk about wanting to stop a dynasty. The problem with Lagos is that one person has been thinking for Lagos. Yet at some point, you did admit that you consulted for the Lagos state government.
I was just doing my business.
So at what point did you decide that you wanted to end a dynasty, one? And at the same time, at what point would you say that became a problem? Because it doesn't look like your fight is against the current governor of the state. Your fight seems to be against the dynasty, which you talk about as, going on in Lagos.
Okay, so Mark, let's first take it from the last place. You see, the current governor is also a product of this terrible system that we're speaking to. And so, in fact, as far as this campaign and everything is concerned, I will tell you that the current governor is inconsequential. He's inconsequential because politically he has no experience, he has no structure. somebody just handed that office to him on a platter of gold. So let's dump him, so we're not discussing him. Now, what we're speaking to is this hegemony, this monopoly that has been there over the years, okay? So when I make reference to the current governor, I just spoke about his 4 years in office, which has nothing to show for it, absolutely. I've given examples and some data to show that that's there, irrespective of the cosmetics and everything that you see. Now, this hegemony that we're speaking to, in 2011, as a matter of fact, I saw all of this and I was like irritated. I mean, just like every other person. And you've seen it played out again in 2015. And you ask yourself, why is it that this person would not like to return a performing governor? You know, Fashola in his second term almost paid for the fact that he did well in the state of Lagos. Ambode, you know, didn't survive it, and it has then become a pattern. So for us, since that time, we look at it and say, look, can we possibly continue this way? No, we can't. So there must be a terminal point. And that terminal point is
just a moment,
like...
Mr. Adediran. Would you say that that is a fair assessment? Because in each of these situations, you say that these governors, you talk about Governor Fashola, you say he was a performing governor. You speak of Governor Ambode, you say he's a performing governor. What then now says that this current governor is not a performing governor? If all of them have had minds of their own to be able to perform while they've been in office.
No, Mark, you're mixing things up. I mean... You know, I said something here, and I'll come back to it again. There is none of this who would not require second-level approval before they can get things work done in Lagos State. Imagine if they had that independence. I believe the two that I mentioned would have really done very, very well in the state of Lagos. But it is this system that gave birth to them that we're speaking to. And I'm saying that the ones that even try to say, let me see if I can be a man of myself, they pay dearly for it. That's what we're speaking to. So, and we're not, in fact, we're at the point where we just need to put a stop to it and break free and allow a lot of people to come into this space. See, it's so terrible that in Lagos, with all the opportunities that we have, we find it difficult to have people to come into our economy to play. Take, for instance, we have 180-kilometer coastline in Lagos, and today we can't have a Miami-like waterfront in the state of Lagos to say, you know what, just come. That's because somebody allegedly wants stake in every business that is coming. So that won't help that won't help anybody to go. Look at this Fort Mainland Bridge. I knew about Fort Mainland Bridge in 2003 when the man used it to campaign for second term. In fact, we worked on that campaign for second term Fort Mainland Bridge. Fashola came also Fort Mainland Bridge. You know, Ambode came 1 year, he did the MOU, the council is 1 year after Fort Mainland Bridge. This person again has come with Fort Mainland Bridge since 2003. We need to put a stop to all of this and let Lagos work. Open it up.
A lot about, you know, the state government.
Now,
talk about
what do you intend to do about the...
But you have profited, you know, from, you know, this dynasty that you want to end.
What do you mean profited?
I'm glad you talked about your trajectory as you rose.
If I am a businessman, okay, and I render a service to you and you pay me, are you saying that's me profiting? I've given you my service, I've given you my professional service, and you're paying for that. So this is the problem that we have. That's why the person can arrogate to himself, I made this, I made even somebody that's a professor of law, you know, before joining your cabinet, you're beating yourself, I made this person, I made that person. Well, it's wrong. It has to stop.
We have to run now.
In the first place, if I can't add value to your business, would you hire me? I don't know if you understand.
But while you were in the APC, why wasn't it a problem, you know?
I was in APC, but I never contested for anything in APC. It was a problem because we started... It was about the same time that you started hearing Jandor in APC. It was trouble from day one because we're fighting the status quo.
Well, we have to run now. We have to run now. But in less than 30 seconds, you said that Mr. Atiku's victory will sort of will make your victory in Lagos easier. Right. You said that. I mean, naturally campaigned for him as well. But just recently, there have been allegations around him of corruption. In fact, the APC said that he needs to come clean on his scandalous confession of how he colluded with his former boss, Chief Obasanjo, to fleece the Nigerian Treasury using special purpose vehicles as vice president in 1999. And I'd like to know, because I imagine you're close to him, can you vouch for him?
I can vouch for him.
So you believe that this is not true?
It is not true.
All right. We'd like to thank you so much. I'll be speaking with Mr. Abdulaziz Adediro, who is the PDP governorship candidate in Lagos State, also the founder of Core TV. Thank you so much for your time on the program. We'll go on a quick break now, and when we return, we'll still have a packed show for you, so please don't go away. Stay with us.
Yes, welcome back to Sunrise Daily, and we're moving away from politics now to look at another very critical sector, the health sector, but this time in Abia State, where medical workers, doctors to be precise, are agitating over a backlog of unpaid salary arrears. And we have joining us Dr. Isaiah Abali. He's the chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, Abia State, and he joins us via Zoom. Thank you for joining us, Dr. Abali. First of all, we'd like you to bring us up to speed with events regarding the unpaid salary arrears for doctors in Abia State.
Thank you, Yomi, and thank you, Nigerians. The Abia State health sector is in shambles now. The present government came into power 2015, May 29th, and at the time of takeover, the Abia State government doctors, employed government doctors, were being owed 7 months arrears of salaries as of takeover. But as we are talking today, it's about 24 months. By November that same year, the same government cleared all the arrears, and by December 31st, all arrears have been cleared. So it does mean that the whole 24 months being owed to the Abia State employed government workers now is from this present administration. And what happens is that they pay 1 month, give a gap of 1 or 2 months, and pay another one. And they're looking at all these things. Our doctors are suffering. Our doctors are dying. Our doctors cannot take care of themselves or pay their school fees, the school fees of their children or their house rent. So we chronicled all this and presented to our National Executive Council meeting that held in Gombe, September last year. And we were duly mandated to put our house in order, give government 21 days ultimatum, interface with them, and if nothing happens by that time, we declare a total indefinite strike involving the private, federal government workers, and then state-employed doctors. And that is what we have just done. So as it stands now, the Abia State government-employed doctors are being owed 24 months for those working in absolute. The resident doctors working in absolute are owed 22 months. And then the doctors working in the general hospitals, otherwise called the Health Management Board doctors, are owed 13 months. So that is where we are now. And we are telling the government to pay us our salaries. That is what we are saying, and nothing more. Nothing more. Government had given a lot of excuses why they have not been paying salaries, ranging from we should be able to generate money to pay ourselves, ranging from doctors have private hospitals, and then doctors are not going to work as I went to. I see all these reasons as not being good enough to owe people who have worked for you for so long, dedicated themselves. We all know there is brain drain, doctors' brain drain in the country. So there is no way you can, those that decided to stay and salvage the country, then you punish them unnecessarily. Doctors in Abia are owed the least in the country. Quote me anywhere. So I don't see reason why the state government should not pay us, should not pay the doctors in Abia State. So that is why we are here to appeal to everybody. Those who know who should talk to the government to pay us. There is no political coloration to what we are saying. we are just professional body seeking for the welfare of our members. So that is where we are for now. Thank you very much.
When was your last engagement with the state government? And are you sure that the state government has indeed said that you should be able to generate your own revenue?
Thank you. The last engagement with the state government was just 2 days ago. And in that 2 days ago, the government told us, the government representatives told us to go call off the strike, that our wage bill is over-bloated. And mind you, government had gone ahead to audit the staff of this ABSUD for quite a number of times. I can count. Last year alone, they audited ABSUD 3 times. So it had become an issue. Every time they will tell us our salaries are over-bloated. We engaged with them 2 days ago, and it ended in a deadlock because they said for them to do anything, we have to call off the strike first and come. And this is government that has very low fidelity for keeping to promises. Very, very low, quite low. So what we are saying is, do the needful, and then the health sector will become vibrant again. If any doctor doesn't go to work, I beg, punish that person. And for the fact, the other issue, whether we can generate, they have said it on a number of occasions. They have said it that we should be able to generate what we pay us, just like the private practitioners do generate. But we all know that a teaching hospital is not like a private hospital, because a teaching hospital is an institution that is accredited, has a minimum standard to be met, and then there is what you pay, that is a standardized pay, unlike private hospital that will decide to charge anything for a patient or pay any staff anything. It's not same with a teaching hospital. So we have maintained and told the government, in fact, at a point, a committee was set up by Medical and Dental Consultants Association of that institution to go around the other southeastern states that has teaching hospitals. Enugu State is one, Imo State is one, and Anambra State is another one. They went around and came out and said, government paid them their subvention 100%. None of them generate their salary. Even federal medical centers and federal teaching hospitals, none of them generate their salaries. So Abia case should not be different. So that is the situation. Thank you.
So you say that the government says you should first of all suspend the strike so that negotiations can continue. Are you willing to consider this position, to suspend the strike to allow for negotiations?
No, we cannot suspend. In fact, my members have vowed that even if it means closing down these hospitals till the handover date, if government is not willing, we are not asking for better working conditions. Government had told us in the past, we will give you 6 months salary to defray the areas, and nothing happens. Nothing. So if we call off the strike, what are we talking about? I've told you before that this government has very low fidelity for keeping to promises made to health workers. I don't know why it is so. So if we call off the strike, I can bet you we will come here again and say, after calling off the strike, government didn't even pay anything. So the way they are trying to say that it will not affect the electoral prospects of anybody. We are not a political organization, so we are not targeting election in any way. We are not sponsoring any candidate. So what we are after is our salaries and nothing more than that. Thank you.
So please clarify which of the bodies is negotiating on behalf of medical doctors in Abia State. Is it the NMA or the National Association for Resident Doctors? And what's the position on the state of things as far as welfare of doctors is concerned in your state?
The body negotiating is Nigerian Medical Association, Abia State Chapter. Myself, the chairman, and some other members of the executives that are available at each time we are going. National Association of Resident Doctors, and that by God's grace, we have their secretariat in Abia State, act more as a consultative body. We consult them on a number of issues and a number of occasions. But the direct negotiating team is the executives of the Nigerian Medical Association although we are planning to change tactics, by the time we hold our emergency general meeting, which we have called by Sunday, we are going to appoint a strike management committee. That strike management committee will be the ones now negotiating on behalf of Nigerian Medical Association. So the Nigerian Association of Resident Doctors are negotiating on behalf of the resident doctors generally, not specifically for that of Abia State. But Nigerian Medical Association Abia State branch is negotiating on behalf of the doctors in Abia State. And I can say that morale is very low among doctors in Abia State. So if anything could be done to help doctors work, is better.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Abali. Mr. Eze Chikam Nayo, the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Abia State, has since joined us. We're glad you could join us, Mr. Chikam Nayo. I wonder if you followed the conversation from the start, but among other things, Dr. Abali has said that the health sector in Abia State is in shambles. They're being owed between 22 months to 13 months, and I think 25 months, depending on the category of medical doctors, and that the state government has said that they should suspend the strike to allow for negotiations to continue, and in fact also said that they can generate, yes, their own revenue. Please clarify that this is the position of the state government. Hello, Commissioner, Mr. Chikam Nayo, can you hear me? Hello? Hello, Mr. Chikam Nayo. Hello? All right, we'll try to sort out. Perhaps you should unmute. Perhaps you're muted. That's why you can't hear. Or we can't hear you, rather. So you can't,
Okay, are you hearing me now?
Yes, we can.
Hear you, rather. So you can't, okay, are you hearing me now? Yes, we can. Good morning, my dear sister.
Good morning. Go ahead.
You'll need to mute whatever device you're watching on. If it's your television or if you're watching online, kindly mute so we won't have that feedback and the howl back.
Yes.
All right. Go ahead.
Are you with me now, Kaude?
It's good now.
Good morning, my brother.
With Dr. Abali on the state of the health sector in Abia State. And as my colleague said, Bukola, he said that the health sector in the state is in a terrible situation. And he's also talked about the salary arrears being owed doctors, that this issue has come up time and again, several months being owed. And, well, the state government has said that they're meant to be a revenue-generating organization as well, that they're semi-autonomous. So is that the position of the state? Essentially, why is the state not doing what the doctors are demanding, or at least what they expect to be their rights?
Thank you, my brother. First and foremost, let me say clearly that we are in a political period, a political environment where a lot of people are joining the fray for so many reasons. So this is a clear case of a politically motivated sabotage, orchestrated by people who ordinarily should have resigned honorably and left the hospitals, because in Abia State today, we have very unpatriotic citizens as doctors. First and foremost, in 2015, just 3 months after Governor Bazu became governor, we paid 11 months salary arrears to doctors in hospital. 11 months. Just in 3 months after Governor Bazu. What this implies is that the problem of salary arrears, as it affects doctors in Abia State, is an engagement that started even before Governor Bazu came on board. Secondly, the doctors are asking us to pay for what they have not worked for. The Bible said, he who does not work, let him not eat. You can't believe what I'm telling you, that for in whooping 35 months, doctors in Abia State have been out of the clinics and hospitals. 35 months out of this.
Mr. Chikamnayo, pardon me, I missed some part of your response there. I think it was a network glitch. So what did you say about 30-something months? Did you say that they were not working? Please clear that out.
Yes, that they have been at home working in their private clinics for 35 months.
How many doctors?
35 months out of this salary that.
How many doctors?
Pardon?
How many doctors in Abia State do you say have been working in their private hospitals for that period?
I'm talking about doctors in Abia State.
Yeah, how many of them? Is it all of them?
Doctors employed in Abia State University Teaching Hospital.
Okay, so that's all of the doctors employed in that teaching hospital you're referring to that were working in a private.
Yes, they have a union. They have a union. So when they call these strikes, they go back. They have enough time to attend to their private clinics. This is a ploy. We have paid over 11 billion naira of Abia taxpayers' money. Between 2015 and now, we have paid 11 billion, 444 million plus to these doctors that have been sitting at home. In 2015, like I said, when we thought they meant well, we came in immediately and mopped up 11 months and paid to them at once when the governor took over. They made 3 demands. The first demand they made is that, oh, the road to absolute is not good. That's why we can't get pensions. Second demand is give us equipment. Third demand is attend to our salary backlog. Governor Pazo, in his usual commitment to the welfare of Abia people, immediately awarded the contract for that road. And today, to the glory of God and to the credit of the rebuild of Abia State, Governor Pazo, as we speak, the road leading to that hospital, which they said was the major reason why they could not operate, has been done with solid cement technology, completely constructed, brand new road. The second demand they made is that they didn't have equipment. That's why they couldn't be productive. Immediately, the governors swung into action, and Governor Pazo brought in 2 container loads of equipment of various types and sophistication.
Right.
The third demand about salary arrears, we engaged them and said, okay, let's be paying lump sums, 3 months, 4 months, all at once to defray the arrears, which, by the way, started before the advent of this government.
All right, Mr. Chikamnayo.
And you can't believe that after we have paid those arrears as agreed, they still prepared to stay in their private clinics. So right now, the man speaking, the man that just spoke before me, the doctor that spoke before me, he's a confirmed member of the Labour Party. He's playing politics. He's not doing any Labour activity.
So indeed, Mr. Chikamnayo, you're saying that, yes, the state government is owing the doctors, but you're choosing not to pay because, one, you claim that they have been involved in private practice. You don't believe there's any need to pay them. You also believe that they are being partisan. Am I correct?
You are not correct. You are not absolutely correct.
Which part am I not correct about?
Yes, God, the way you are putting it, that we don't want to pay them because they are doing private, that's not what I said. What I said is this, that when you are under government employ, in a teaching hospital that is supposed to make money and run itself, supported by government subvention, that first and foremost, just like channels, just like any other enterprise, then you have to make that hospital work. You don't kill the hospital and then expect government to use that money, other things, to continue to defray arrears of salaries accumulated as a result of indolence.
Okay, all right. So just because of time, Mr. Chikamnayo, just because of time. So you're saying that your point is that, well, yes, the government is owing, but you're choosing not to pay because you think they have not put in their best to make the institution work as it ought to work. At least I'm correct on that one.
What I'm saying is that this salary brouhaha that has started before Governor Pazo, that the current government has done all that is needed to be done. 11 billion has been paid.
But is the government, just to establish, is the government owing or not? Just to establish that.
They are owing the government. They've been at home for 35 months. we have no reason to pay people who choose to be at home.
Okay, so the government has not paid for 35 months. Okay, let's quickly go to Dr. Abali, because you raised some issues.
The government has not paid for 35 months. I said they are owing us. They have not worked for 35 months. That's what I said.
And have you paid them for those 35 months?
I said they have not worked for 35 months.
All right, so let's go to Dr. Abali, because you raised some issues too. Dr. Abali, I'm very sure you've been listening to this. So respond to those two issues. One, the commissioner claims that you are partisan. You're a member of the Labour Party, and he believes that is why this is being done. And in fact, he has used that brush to say that generally this is a partisan move or a political move, and saying that your association, generally the doctors employed there, have not worked for 35 months, that you've been engaged in private practice or your private clinics. Please respond.
Thank you very much. One, when somebody decides to lie, you know, I am not partisan. We have been engaging in radio programs all along, and we have made it clear to public before we start talking that this has no political coloration. Even when we spoke to the Secretary of State Government and others that are involved in the negotiations, we make it clear that we are not partisan. We have not adopted any candidate for election. I am not a member of any political party. Quote me anywhere, take me anywhere. Nobody will claim that he has seen my name in any political register, even the ruling party. So personally, I am not a member of any political party. And I know that what we are fighting, if you say we are partisan, pay us our salaries. If we continue to fight, then you know that there is something behind it. And they know the truth. He who chooses to lie knows that he is not saying the truth. That is one. Secondly, this is the first time that the doctors in ABSUT are going on strike. So you shouldn't confuse when some other workers decide to go on strike with that of the doctors in ABSUT. Doctors in ABSUT, except the only time certain number of doctors in ABSUT went on strike was sometime in 2021, April to be precise, when the National Executive Council of NAD directed them to proceed on strike. So that was the only time.
All right, Dr. Abali, there seems to be many areas of disagreement. One, exactly how many months the state government is owing. Two, whether or not the doctors, working their own private establishments and neglecting government work, and, the accusations of partisanship. We hope that all of these will be resolved, and, the welfare of workers in Abia State, particularly the doctors, will be attended to in due course. We'd like to thank you very much for being on the program. Dr. Isaiah Abali is the chairman, Nigerian Medical Association, Abia State, and Mr. Eze Chikamnayo is the Commissioner for Information and Strategy, Abia State. Thank you, gentlemen, for being on Sunrise Daily.
Thank you.
Thank you, Martin.
Yes, we'll be back in just a moment. We have more for you. Stay with us.
All right, welcome back. Well, we getting back to politics. Mohammed Nalado joins us here. He's a former chairman of IPAC. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today. Well, after that meeting yesterday, because previously that news about it was an INEC official actually who did say that elections may not hold, may be postponed. Of course, there was bound to be a lot of reaction. But that meeting. Did you come out assured that, contrary to the previous narrative, that the elections will indeed go ahead without any hitches whatsoever?
Yes. The INEC chairman briefed the political parties yesterday, and he gave us all the assurances that the election is going to hold. And in the past, we had similar situations, like in 2015, where we had, a whole geopolitical zone under Boko Haram, but that didn't stop election from going on. So I believe the Nigerian security will definitely look at the situation and see how they are going to address most of these challenges that INEC is, maybe afraid of.
Yeah, but how should people respond to that? Because it is a concern. If there are attacks, threats to the offices and their personnel, they themselves, one wonders, how assured will they be? Because they will be the ones who will be facing the electorate and possibly any threat if there happens to be any on the day.
Exactly. You know, it is not only the INEC staff, you know, that matters, even the electorate themselves. You know, a situation where a voter will go to a voting point and get maybe threatened by terrorists or these hoodlums is a very thing of concern. But I'm sure the security structure of Nigeria must have been working to make sure that lives and properties of Nigerians are properly secure, I'm sure.
So was it at the meeting held and there were no concerns raised by political party leaders in the meeting, or what?
No, of course. After the INEC has given us assurances, then we had nothing because we had built something in our mind, some questions to ask. But the address by the chairman, I mean, you know, address everything. So we believe that, yes, the election is going to hold as what the chairman of INEC has.
How big a fear? Because I know that now you say that you've been reassured and that, you know, you're calm now. You think everything is hunky-dory, as they say. But I wonder, when you initially saw the newspaper headlines and a lot of the dailies reporting that, how much fear did you feel when you saw that?
Actually, it depends or it varies on individuals. But with the consultation meeting we have been having with INEC, you know, he has been having consultation meeting with political parties, security, agencies, and social, what do you call them? The CSOs. And he keeps giving us assurances. And by looking at, so far we have gone in preparation and taking ourselves back to what happened in the past, we believe it is a small challenge that the security, authorities of Nigeria can take care of.
So did you dismiss the newspaper headlines then?
Of course we didn't, because what we heard, it was said by a personnel of INEC. But when he was addressing us, the chairman, he refuted that INEC had never at any time, you know, dispensed that information that they are not going to hold election. So you see, we have to rely on what the chairman told us, not on what we have heard from other angles.
Okay. So I'm looking at the conduct of the elections right now for political parties. What areas of concern? Because you said that you had some questions which you wanted to ask the national chairman, but that in his address he already, took care of a lot of the questions that you had. What other concerns, apart from security, did you have about the elections?
Well, you see, it's all around the security, because if you talk of hate speeches, you talk of, sentiments. These are the things that aggravate and make the security situation worse. So we wanted to really talk about, ourselves, we politicians, that we have to be cautious, you have to be issue-based in our approaches, no personal attacks on individuals, no using sentiments, religious or ethnic sentiments, you know. And I'm sure if we're able to contain that, then everything will go smoothly.
You wanted to raise that with INEC?
No, we want, it's a consultative meeting. So at a consultation, everybody can voice out his view and people contribute. And from there, you find solution to whatever the problem is.
So far, so good. I mean, you talked about hate speech, which was an area you had concerns about. The campaigns have been on for a while now. In fact, some people say that these are some of the longest campaigns you've ever witnessed. Would you say that politicians have conducted themselves with respect when you listen to some of the campaign messages that have gone out there already?
Yes, the main actors are doing very well to make sure that they play the game according to the rule. But there are some supporters that
the main actors.
That is the contestants.
Okay.
You know, they are very, very cautious of what they say. I have listened to most of them at different rallies. Nobody is talking or attacking another, you know. But it is a problem of the supporters. People that are supporting candidates, they come out and be voicing out things of their interest, not minding what are the consequences going to be like, you know. So these are the areas where I think we political parties, I mean, have to, you know, sit down. I'm happy the Peace Committee is inviting the presidential candidate and national chairman of political parties to discuss, you know, on such issues.
But, so when you say we political parties have to sit down and look at them,
yes,
is it that the parties and their candidates have not done enough?
No, we are doing
to ensure
every day,
that the supporters, they rein them in when they appear to be going overboard.
It's just like a principal or head teacher at a school, you know. Your children or pupils will keep on, you know, creating ways of bullying others, doing a lot of, you know, misgivings. And you cannot stop, you know, at one day because you have once told them that they should stop and expect them to stop. You have to continue following the events, you know, and from there you'll be assessing and you get whether your message is being
Were
taken.
you equally satisfied, I mean, the meeting there, were they all satisfied with questions such as neutrality of INEC officials and neutrality of security personnel?
Certainly, yes. We are very, very sure the INEC is very, very is secure. Is straightforward, and we are sure that there's not going to be any foul play.
So even for the states that opposition parties accuse them of not letting them use their venues, using security to muscle them, you don't think that that's a concern?
No, you know, we have addressed that at many fora, most especially at IPAC level. That one we have been following it up, and we have been talking to, most especially after we had meeting with the IG of police. We approached him, we told him, and he gave us assurances that they are going to follow it up with the state governors. That was when the IG of police accused state governors. And if you look at it, sincerely speaking, you will see that it is these state governors that, you know, are trying to, you know, stop other political parties from participating in campaign activities in their states.
Wait, so, how will IG accuse state governors when the state governors?
But it was in the news. It was there.
Yeah, I'm asking that. Is it because we hear the state governors? It's equally in the news when they say we don't control security; they take orders from above. So how is it that he's accusing state governors when governors say, well, they take orders from you?
The governors are claiming to be the chief security officers of the state.
They say on paper.
It is not on paper. Look at what's happening. Let me quote particularly in Rivers State. Our candidate wanted to have a program, but the state government came with
which party?
Executive order, Accord. Executive order that stopped them from performing those rights. So you see, and so many other political parties are complaining the same thing.
What was the reason they gave?
They say they don't want, that is not for public. They bring clumsy excuses to stop you, to make sure they stop you from carrying on your campaigns.
No, but
and it's not only Rivers, other states do the same thing.
But there are two different things. If there is an executive order, that's an order of a court.
That is what the governor is saying. He said he has an executive order.
You don't think that was...
And we complained to the IG. IG said he was going to address all the communication of police and the AIGs in the zones. That if we have any problem, we should go to the commissioner of police. If the commissioner of police, we feel he's compromised, we should go and report him to the AIG in charge of the zone. They gave us all the contact numbers of all the AIGs and the police commissioners. We have not seen any changes up to now, honestly speaking.
Any changes where? From the police or from the state?
No, from the states. Up to now, we have not seen much changes, you know. We are still facing those problems, and the election is fast approaching.
Accord has not been campaigning in...
No, it's not only Accord. Political parties, I'm not talking of Accord. I'm talking on political parties generally. We are having this problem of being, being, what do you call it, interferences from government, from government in places. These are the problems we have as political parties today.
I want to look at a situation in Rivers. The governor of the state had said that the problem they have is that oftentimes there is a vandalization of public property and there is always a huge mess left to clean up. Has there been any attempt to engage with the state government on this particular reason to find a middle ground? Maybe if it's for the political parties to offer to clean up afterwards or to ensure that, there is no vandalization of... Because oftentimes the venues that they want to use are school compounds, isn't that correct?
You see, the problem, they always come with excuses, and they want to believe that what they are saying is correct. But sincerely speaking, they are using that one you know, to stop other political parties from performing their rights in the states, honestly speaking. It's not only Rivers State. So many other states is like that.
So you're citing the example of Rivers,
Exactly.
and the governor has, you know, has responded to this criticism that, you know, he's not allowing other political parties campaign. Have there been alternatives provided by the Rivers State government?
Well, I don't know at the moment, but I see the PDP campaigning all days. We see them campaigning, but we don't see other political parties doing the same. So we don't know why it is still like that.
So what solutions have your candidate found now?
No, it's not the only candidate. It's all the political parties. We are looking at it, and I believe we are going to discuss, it's part of the things that we're going to discuss in our next General Assembly meeting at IPAC, because it concerns all political parties. We want a, you know, free, fair, and credible election in 2023. So we cannot achieve that, you know, unless you have, you know, a level playing ground for all the political parties.
You have spoken to the neutrality of INEC. You say you believe that INEC is, you know, neutral.
Certainly,
and I do not know how much of a participation you had in previous polls, especially the ones that have recently been conducted by with the use of the beavers. Do you have any reservations about Nigeria or INEC introducing this beavers machine across all the 36 states of the Federation?
You see, let me take us back. Before 2015 general election, the election system was completely different. And there were a lot of accusations and of frauds, you know, and other political, election offenses. So we political parties at that time sat down with INEC through our consultative forum, and we developed, a way of, you know, reducing such incidences. Then an idea of use of card reader came up, so which card reader was introduced. And after 2015 general election, we saw the differences, of course. So many, you know, opportunities for fraud were, you know, blocked. And, you know, Nigerians, with time, they started developing how to, you know, sabotage the efforts made in sensitizing the electoral processes. And then with the leadership of the present INEC, you know, they are very innovative. We appreciate it. And so when they came in, they have been modifying the electoral processes. At later time, they came up with these beavers machines, and they have been put on test in some elections, some off-season elections we had recently. And we have seen the results were far much better than the ones we had, you know, with card reader. And most especially, you know, withdrawing the use of that incidence form, because that creates a lot of, you know, loopholes for politicians, selfish politicians that want to, you know, rig the election. So with the beavers now, we believe most of these challenges will be minimized. That is why we're having confidence, and they have displayed it to us. And apart from displaying it to us, we have seen it physically at the various elections held after, after the general election.
Yeah, but what was your view, or what is your view about all of those narratives about underage voting in parts of the country?
Yes, underage, just like what the chairman said yesterday, we agree that there were challenges of underage voting. But with the update of the PVCs now, I believe INEC might have addressed such areas. You know, so anybody that is not eligible to vote will not be allowed to vote.
Because what some of those people who, how they got registered in the first place, some of the officials say they're usually under duress. They force them and compel them to register underage people, and you usually will see the dates, 1st of January, all of them have the same date of birth. So do you think that that awareness is really there, that no one should actually encourage any underage person to go and register, because they even have PVCs, some of them, which we see?
I am not aware of that. I have never
you haven't seen
no, I have never
any
seen,
of that?
I have never seen anything.
Even though INEC says, yes, it was unregistered, but they're dealing
I
with
have never seen such things, but I believe in Nigeria anything can happen. Some people, and definitely you cannot rule out, there are people that are not supposed to be on the PVCs and they have PVCs. And but INEC is doing as much to make sure that all these, vices are looked upon and addressed adequately.
Well,
but sincerely speaking, the kind of the kind of methods taken, I believe, will address most of the challenges we have.
Well, as we wind down, you say that you have no concerns about neutrality of INEC officials, that everything is okay, neutrality of security agencies. Well, that of INEC, the chairman spoke to you. Where did you get your assurance from concerning security? How did you come to that conclusion?
Insecurity is because of what we have seen in the past.
Which past?
In 2015, 2019 general elections, we had similar incidences of insecurity in some part of the country. But during the elections, the security operatives were able to address such issues, and elections were conducted. There was no too many reports of violences at polls. So I believe they have been studying the situation, and I believe that they are going to mop up all these kind of people that are trying to bring disharmony during and after the elections. I am so much confident that there is no problem in Nigeria we cannot solve, unless if we don't solve the problem.
Even vote buying, we can solve it.
Well, yeah, we can solve it, but you see, there are also methods. You see, Nigerians, like I said, we always develop, strategies whenever we want to achieve something, whether negative or positive. The INEC has tried as much to make sure that they reduce such incidences. But vote buying is something that is a very major concern, because if you look at the security personnel attached to polling units, will not be enough, to curb off all these kind of vices. If you have 1 or 2 policemen, how many political parties are contesting? Who will be at the poll watching how people, so, and who will be now going around to see what is going on? This vote buying usually happens not within the the election premises. They stay afar and be applying some system on how to get to buy votes. We don't know how to do it, but
all right.
I know they do a lot of things like that. But I think government have to really employ more security to be watching such activities happening around polls.
All right. Thank you very much indeed, Haman Nalado, former chairman of IPAC. Well, yes, Abia State, still a lot of focus on that probably as we progress, because, the commissioner did accuse the doctors of being unpatriotic, but state government owing, so is that not equally an unpatriotic act as well? You tell us. Well, that is the show today. Thank you all for watching. We'll see you next time. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Thank you. I'm Maupe Ogun Yusuf.
Of course, we'll take your mails tomorrow. Sorry we couldn't take them today, but we thank you for watching. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
Well, let's make today our best day yet. All right, I'm Kayode Okikile. Goodbye.